Welcome back to Hannity. There are just 23 days until President Obama is officially out of office. But he wants you to know that if allowed, he would have beaten Donald Trump and won a third term. Take a listen to this one.
The majority does buy into the notion of a one America that is tolerant and diverse and open and full of energy and dynamism, and the problem is it doesn't always manifest itself in politics, right? I am confident in this vision because I'm confident that if I had run again and articulated it, I think I could have mobilized a majority of the American people to rally behind it.
Not surprisingly, President-elect Trump fired back on Twitter, writing, quote, "President Obama said that he thinks he would have won against me. He should say that, but I say no way. Jobs leaving, ISIS, Obamacare, etc." Joining me now is Fox News contributor Charles Hurt, former National Justice Director for Bernie Sanders, Tesla and Figaro, and Republican strategist Noel Nickper. All right, I will start with you, Charles. Let me ask you this. Is he delusional, or is he depressed, or is he afraid people are going to forget him? Why is he talking about this?
I think all of the above. I don't have any idea what he was even talking about before he got to the part where he said that, if I'd run again, I certainly would have won. That's the kind of taunt you hurl over your shoulders. You're walking running away from the bar fight. But the bottom line is he may not have been on the ballot this time, but his policies were, and his policies have been on the ballot for the past 8 years. And while, yes, he did win re-election in 2012, Democrats have lost 1,000 seats based on his policies, based on his record. And so, what he's saying right there is just flat out simply not true.
All right, and Tesla, isn't he the one who said, I will take this personally, if she doesn't get elected, it's really a third term for me?
You're absolutely right. I mean, President Obama galvanized every politician, every pastor, and every entertainer. And in the words of the judge, the motion was denied. They presented a third-year term, and no one was buying into it. And it's not about, President Obama's ego and how he feels about how he would have won. It was the 900 legislators who lost. It was the American people who lost jobs. It was the American people who lost income. It was the American people who lost affordable health care. So instead of him talking about how he would have won, let's talk about the people that lost and focus on that. It was the DNC that lost integrity. So perhaps as we go into the new year, they can figure out how to not make it about the shiny object and focus on the grassroots like the Republicans have done, and perhaps they'll see a win. Let's just get over it, get off the field. You've lost, pick your toys up and go home and try again. And
Noel, just as Heslin was saying, I mean, all you have to do is look at the facts. It wasn't just Donald Trump. The Senate, the House, the gubernatorial races. I mean, this was a trifecta.
Well, you know what? So much for a smooth transition. Do you remember when Obama said, let's make this smooth, let's do the best we can? Whatever on that. It's just like he believes his own rhetoric. And how arrogant to sit there and say, if I would have run for a third term, I would have won. Really? Slap in the face Hillary Clinton, slap in the face the voters, the middle-class voters that voted you out. And although he may have won some of those states that Trump won, the fact of it is that Trump won.
Yes. Yeah. Well, they turned around and they, not only did Trump win, but they changed parties, and that's pretty huge. Yeah. All right, Charles, I'm going to ask you to listen to what David Axelrod said about Obama not accepting that the election was a referendum on his view of the world.
He doesn't accept that the election was a verdict on his view of where the country should be going. He points out that she got a majority of the vote. He feels that he would have won the election. But there's no doubt that there is some criticism implicit in his remarks.
And to me, the criticism is of Hillary Clinton, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and I must say that this is the one part of all of this that I've enjoyed immensely, is just how much he throws her under the bus at every turn. And he was doing that the day after, just saying, you know, talking about how much harder he worked when he ran for re-election and ran for the first time, and talking about when he beat her, how hard he worked in Iowa in order to beat her. But can you imagine if George W. Bush in 2008 had come out after the election and just trashed John McCain after Barack Obama won? No decent person would do this. And to have the President of the United States now doing this, I think it really does, it says a lot about both how he is governed and kind of the way he is going to, I think, be remembered going forward.
And Teselin, he said in this interview, he says, even people who disagreed with me says that my vision is the right vision. Now, how do you justify that? How do you rationalize that, Teselin?
Well, I rationalize it that people got tired of hearing a vision. They wanted to see action. You know, anybody can talk about what you're going to do, but see, when it came down to the reality of what was actually done, people were over it. You know, we see that as we look across the states, like we've mentioned several times, with all the legislative seats that were lost. You know, this grassroots movements that Republicans have been able to successfully implement came from the ground up. And so although he gave a good speech, a great vision, when it really came down to the reality, people were over it. And for him to say that he was not on the ballot, that he did not instruct Clinton on how to, produce the same type of results that he did is just a flat-out lie. You know, he instructed everyone around the country to support Hillary Clinton. We saw that with Bernie Sanders and the DNC leaks. And he just will not accept the fact that you lost. You put everything on the field, you left it there, and you lost. And even Jay-Z and Beyonce couldn't pull this race in.
They talked about the fact that the Democrats had the ground game and Donald Trump didn't. The fact that he won and his whole party won, what does it tell you?
Well, it tells you that they did not have the ground game, number one. And number two, they really didn't have the ball and they didn't play the right way. And, you know, I think Americans are really ready to see Israel take a respectful place and ready for prosperity.
All right. Thank you all for being here tonight. All right. And here now with more reaction is the author of Defeating Jihad, Dr. Sebastian Gorka, as well as Fox News contributor Rick Grinnell. All right, Dr. Gorka, I'm going to start with you. The message, as the ambassador just indicated, is very clear. And that is, as 400,000 people die in Syria and the UN Security Council does nothing, they take a disputed land issue, prejudge it, and make it as though an international ruling is in effect and should control. What do you say?
Merry Christmas, Judge. It's outrageous. This is a lame duck presidency. But what's happened in the last 8 years? The Obama administration has created a global chaos. The world is on fire wherever you look, north, south, east and west. Europe, you see Russia invade Ukraine. Asia, you see China build fake islands and then put military installations on them. Then you see disaster after disaster in the Middle East, the rise of ISIS, the rise of Boko Haram, on and on and on. And what do? Instead of following the Hippocratic Oath for the last month of their administration, the do no harm promise, what do? They throw gasoline on the fire, and they side with everybody else who really is using the United Nations to execute a form of veiled anti-Semitism. There's nothing else that you can describe this as. Well, go ahead.
Certainly, it is a reverse of a position that the United States has taken in the past, Rick Grinnell. And there are those who say that the United States is the one who was behind the resolution in the first place.
Look, there's no question. I spoke specifically and directly to the French ambassador to the United States, and he told me that they have been working on the Obama administration for weeks. Then we see the media from New Zealand that have now come out and confirmed the fact that the New Zealand foreign minister has had multiple conversations with John Kerry trying to find the language that would be acceptable so that the United States would abstain. So strategically, Judge, what we're looking at here is this has been weeks in the making. This is a plan of Ben Rhodes and Barack Obama, and they have secretly tried at the end of the administration to give it to Israel and to try to blame this on New Zealand or Egypt or others, well, they have been the ones negotiating the language. They have been the ones that have been secretly trying to figure out a way, how do they kick Bibi Netanyahu on the way out the door. Don't forget that the Barack Obama team tried to defeat Bibi Netanyahu. This is a long-standing problem that we've had from the Cairo speech at the beginning of the Obama administration to now this lame duck session where Ben Rhodes and Barack Obama are trying to kick Israel.
Dr. Gorka, do you see Donald Trump doing something significant in terms of in any way reversing this decision by the Security Council?
I think the ambassador was right. Formally in international law, this kind of resolution can't be unilaterally undone. But America is the most powerful nation in the world. It is the only nation that can really do something about this by itself in terms of putting pressure on every nation responsible for this resolution. And on top of that, I think after January 20th, Judge, I think the White House will have a very different attitude to the utility of the United Nations and also the importance of Israel, which is one of, if not our most important ally in the Middle East.
And Rick, as it relates to the United Nations and Israel, Israel is now apparently calling in all of the foreign ministers from other countries, and they will exert whatever diplomatic punishments if we can call it that. Do they have any leverage at all in a situation like this?
They do have leverage, and they have a lot of leverage in Donald Trump. Let's make it clear. President-elect Trump is going to be Israel's best ally. He's going to make sure that this is a priority. This resolution is dangerous, Judge, in that it literally encourages countries to find ways to punish Israel for not giving up land to the Palestinians. This is a land dispute between two countries, and now we have an international body like the United Nations Security Council taking sides and saying that the world should punish Israel for not taking the Palestinian side, for not giving up land. It's really outrageous, and it directly affects every single nation. Donald Trump knows this, and he'll make it a priority.
Don't the Palestinians get money for every Israeli that they kill?
Oh, sure. Look, there's a long history of rewarding radical Islamic terrorism around the region. And what we have to make clear, and I think Donald Trump will make clear, is that this is unacceptable. We're going to stand with Israel, and we're going to make sure that every country diplomatically is punished for trying to implement this resolution.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka, Rick Grinnell, thanks so much for being with us tonight.